The original Ergohuman was designed 17 years ago and at that time was the first mesh chair to really challenge an Aeron classic. But when Herman Miller decided to update the Aeron in 2017, it knocked the Ergohuman out of contention. But with the latest release of the Ergohuman Gen2, I think the Aeron Remastered has some real competition again for half the price. Have you bought an office chair in the past that just didn't seem to fit like you'd hoped? I have, and honestly, it's one of the most annoying aspects of office chair shopping. Now that's why I think one of the most important aspects of an office chair is how adjustable it is. The Herman Miller Aeron is one of the most confusing chairs for me personally when it comes to fit. The biggest reason is that they advertise 3 different sizes of chairs, but there's a ton of overlap across their size A, B, and C. This almost makes it impossible to get that seat depth and back height working together perfectly. Now, the Ergohuman Gen2 includes seat depth and back height adjustment. Now, I believe the seat depth adjustment is a must when looking for an ergonomic chair. The back height adjustment feature provides a good range of motion as well and really helps to get that lumbar position properly, but more importantly, gives it better full back support. Both the Aeron and Ergohuman have a lumbar support system, but the Aeron's isn't a standard feature. They have a no lumbar option, height adjustable lumbar, and what they call posture fit. Now, only the posture fit allows some depth adjustment. While I think it's comfortable, it doesn't necessarily qualify as aggressive. The Ergohuman has a pivoting lumbar system that moves with you while you seat. The new Generation 2 has a tension adjustment on their lumbar, and it provides a wide range of support, going from a light to fully aggressive mode. Since the Generation 1 Ergohuman, I have always loved the lumbar feature, but with the tension adjustment, it's made it a lot better for those of you who might not want as aggressive lumbar as I do. Forward tilt is now available on both chairs, but only standard on the Ergohuman. Now, this is really a specific function, in my opinion, that I'm not even sure most of us would use. For me, sitting with forward tilt engaged makes a chair almost feel like too much work to sit in, with your legs constantly engaged, holding you back in the chair. If you're searching for a new office chair, fast track your search to find your new office chair by downloading our office chair comfort cheat sheet down in the description. Now, if you currently use a chair to do more than just work tasks like gaming or say watching TV, then having a headrest is a must-have feature. The Herman Miller Aeron has a strong stance against headrest. Basically, using your neck is their methodology. But of course, we don't want to hear that as an office chair user, so companies found an opportunity to create headrests that fit on Aeron chairs. Now, most of them honestly are terrible, with only really the Atlas being a headrest that I would recommend. But for almost $200, it makes an already super expensive chair even more out of reach for a lot of us. And also, you want to be conscious, as they do say this will void the warranty. However, I'm not really sure how they'd even know that's been attached. The Ergohuman ME7 ERG Generation 2 comes standard with a height and pivot adjustable headrest. The position of the headrest has definitely improved from the latest generation and stays out of the way now when seated upright for tasking and provides solid support when reclined. Seat comfort on any chair is super important, but one of my biggest issues sitting in mesh chairs for almost 2 decades now has been how polarizing this experience can be. Now, either the chairs I've tried have sagged too much, had frame issues, or oddly enough, just felt too firm, creating awkward flexing into my tailbone. The Herman Miller Aeron seat has always been a deal breaker for me. Even with the remastered chair's removal of that front seat pad, I've still had other pressure points while seated in the chair, and their newest pellicle mesh is pulled so tight that it feels like I'm sitting on a hard surface. Pair that with the side bolsters on their frame, it creates this limiting fit issues and prevents the opportunity to sit one leg crossed comfortably like I'm doing right now while I type up this script. The Ergohuman Generation 1 also had issues with the seat creating an awkward flex up into my tailbone, so much so that I had to discontinue use of the mesh seat early on. Now, the Generation 2, on the other hand, is the first mesh seat I've been able to use comfortably for 8+ hours a day for more than 2 months now. The change in the mesh material used, the removal of the seat pad in the waterfall front edge, and the change of the actual shape of the seat has made a huge difference for me. The flexibility in the mesh also provides some give, unlike the Aeron, and doesn't feel saggy. Now, while cross-legged sitting experiences aren't good as, say, a cushion seat, it's still possible in the Ergohuman, unlike the Aeron. I know that seat comfort can definitely be a deal breaker for some, but the backrest is just as important in my experience. Now, when I can't get comfortable in the backrest of my chair, I develop neck and back pain, which honestly becomes a nightmare for productivity and efficiency. Now, there are 2 different places where I really focus with comfort, and the first is in the lower back position. Now, this typically includes a lumbar support if the chair has one. The Ergohuman has always been a winner in this department, and this is especially true because I like extremely aggressive lumbar support. The fact that the Ergohuman's lumbar is so pronounced accommodates for me cheating when I type at my keyboard because I slightly lean forward and that lumbar support stays in contact with my back, offering solid support no matter how long I cheat when typing. The added tension adjustment on the Ergohuman Generation 2 means that I can create more lumbar if I need to, or if, say, I was heavier set, or if you prefer it to be less aggressive, you can dial it back so you won't feel it as much. Now, the Aeron's height adjustable lumbar is just okay. It provides a decent range of height adjustment, but can also feel a little bit jabby in the back. The posture fit system is the preferred version on the Remastered, but again, if you like a lot of support, I don't know if it feels quite as aggressive as I would personally like. The upper back support is quite a bit different on both of these chairs, especially the taller that you get. Now, if you want full back support that includes the shoulders, the Ergohuman is a bit better option in my opinion. With a height adjustment feature, you can use this to adjust to fit your body. Now, if you're 6 feet tall like I am and want to use an Aeron, to get the taller back, you'd actually have to consider a size C. But for narrower frames, while I think that backrest height is great on the size C, the chair itself will feel a bit wide. One of my biggest annoyances with office chairs is just how bad the fit can be with their armrests. Chairs that have arms that don't move with you from an upright position to full recline are super annoying as well. And if the arms don't fit, I'm just not comfortable. Now, the original Ergohuman definitely had a fit issue all around. They didn't provide enough width adjustment, and when you recline, they didn't move in unison with the rest of the chair. Now, this created an awkward gap that you'll find on a lot of different chairs. But the change in design on the Generation 2 moved the arm's connection point to the back of the mechanism, and this helps to keep the arms with you in full recline. Now, both the Aeron Classic and Remastered have done this perfectly with the arms attached to the backrest. The Ergohuman Generation 2 now features height, width, depth, and pivot adjustments as standard features. The height range on the Generation 2 has a ton of customizability and honestly more range than you'll probably ever need. The width adjustment is nice, but I do wish it was a bit larger. But that pivot function though is wild, offering more pivot range than even the steel case gesture, which allows for good support if you're using a phone or tablet in your chair. The Aeron Remastered has options here again, no surprise. The first, they offer stationary arms, which I wouldn't recommend, height adjustable, which again, I probably wouldn't recommend, and then last, their fully functional arm set, which has height and pivot adjustment. Now, the range on the Aeron is great for height, allowing you to lower them almost completely out of the way should you need it to be that way. The pivot range is solid too. I just wish there was some width adjustment, but that can only be accomplished by getting a smaller or larger chair with the A, B, or C models. Height adjustment on the Aeron though is super annoying, requiring you to release a lever, make the adjustment, and then lock it in place. Now, if you plan to adjust this frequently, this can definitely be annoying. And the upside though, the chair arms are solid with no real movement once locked into place. When it comes to softness of arm pads, the Herman Miller Aeron Remastered has almost every chair beat on the market. So when the new Ergohuman was released, I wasn't confident this would even be close. But much to my surprise, they're actually the closest thing to an Aeron arm pad I've ever tried, with only the Aeron providing just a bit more depth of softness in the arm pad than the Ergohuman Generation 2. If you're spending $900 or more on a new office chair, you'll likely want to have a chair that'll hold up. Yes, a warranty is super important, but it's also annoying to have a chair that's not working when it's broken. I've sold Ergohuman chairs since they were first released about 17 years ago, and I've had firsthand experience on how well they've held up. We also have refurbished Herman Miller Aeron Classic chairs, with some of these chairs being more than 20 years old. But will the Ergohuman Generation 2 and Aeron Remastered hold up as well as their predecessors? The Ergohuman frame is a definite upgrade from the original design. Adding in more aluminum to the back design and removing the ugly plastic cover over the mechanism make this chair feel more premium. They continued to use a metal-based design for longevity as well, only changing the shape from a more straight line to one with more curves. The fit and finish on the frame is also well done throughout. Now, the Aeron Remastered frame is top-notch as well. The molds used are definitely some of the nicest, if not the nicest, I've seen on any mesh chair. Their decision, though, to go away from a metal-based design does make the chair less noisy, but I know some of you don't love the fact that they went plastic here. Ergohuman Generation 2 upgraded their mesh on this version of the chair and how they attach it to the office chair as well. Using a slot fixing system very similar to the Aeron, they've eliminated the use of staples for their upholstering system. The new mesh from Leggett & Platt used on the Ergohuman Generation 2 has increased the amount of yarn, providing better tension and elasticity. Now, this was done specifically because of sagging issues that eventually developed on the first iteration of the Ergohuman. The Herman Miller Aeron Classic Pellicle Mesh was without question the best mesh to hit the market when first released. Rarely have we ever found chairs with sagging mesh in the used market, which is honestly incredible. Their improvement to the Remastered just adds to what was already really solid mesh upholstery. Overall, the Ergohuman Generation 2 has made huge strides, with the first iteration of the chair needing major improvements to really keep up with the Aeron Remastered. Now, the Ergohuman Generation 2 isn't quite built as well as the Aeron, but with a price point almost 50% less with more features, it really does make an interesting option for those of us who don't want to spend $2,000 on an office chair. Thanks for watching.